Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Comment. WBUR General Assignment Reporter Walter Wuthmann, welcome back.
Thank you, Daryl. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So, Walt, you kind of continued a story here because not too long ago, a report came out from the Dorchester Reporter which found that there are no public pools open in the neighborhoods of Dorchester and Mattapan during this summer, this hot summer. And you kind of continued on with this story to get some more answers. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to ask you, so folks really understand why we're talking about this. Why is it such a big deal that these 6 swimming pools are closed at the same time in Dorchester and Mattapan?
Yeah, so the city owns and operates 18 public pools around the city. 10 of them, so more than half, are closed this summer. And of those 10, 6 of them are in Dorchester and Mattapan. Those are all the pools in those 2 neighborhoods. We know that those are 2 of the most underserved neighborhoods in the city in terms of public investment. There's some of the most low-income neighborhoods in Boston. We also know there's some of the hottest neighborhoods in Boston because of the urban heat island effect. So the fact that all of the city's public pools are closed in those 2 places, residents say it's a really big deal.
Yeah, what did community members have to say about this?
Yeah, I spent a hot day recently walking around, going to some of the open public pools around these 2 neighborhoods. So in Roxbury, I spoke to a grandmother, a Roxbury native named Mary Hamilton.
I used to take my kids to the pool and to the park and everything when they were little. I didn't think they should be just sitting in the house all day. They need to get out.
So she had a lot of questions about why all the city's pools in Dorchester and Mattapan would be closed this summer, and she really thought that at least 1 pool in each neighborhood should have been open.
So why? How are they closed at the same time?
It's a great question, and it's a question I've been asking of a lot of people. Every pool does have very, legitimate reasons to be closed and to be having work done. Some of them were planned a long time ago. So the Leahy-Holleran Community Center, which is attached to the Murphy School in Dorchester, they're going through this huge energy retrofit as part of the mayor's green buildings plan. People knew that was going to be closed for a long time. But then in another part of the neighborhood, BCYF Perkins, that pool, the city told me, is closed because it's losing water. Many of the showers are not operational, and the backwash drain is too slow. So that's sort of like a maintenance and repair issue that was left alone too long and then failed. And it seems to be a perfect storm of, these planned closures and these freak repairs all happening at once. But when you talk to people involved with the city, they point to a long-standing bureaucratic issue, and it's a little confusing.
Yeah, I want to know who is responsible for all of this.
Yeah, so the way these pools work, and stick with me because it is a little confusing, but the pools are operated by the Boston Centers for Youth and Families, BCYF. They operate the community centers that the pools are in.
Okay.
But a lot of the community centers are attached to Boston school buildings. Like the Leahy-Holleran Community Center is attached to the Murphy School.
Okay.
So there has been confusion, and some would say, finger pointing over the years about who is responsible for making repairs on the pools. Is it BCYF, which operates them, or is it BPS, which owns the property? I talked to Councilor Erin Murphy. She's an at-large city councilor, but she's from Dorchester. She lives in Dorchester. She's really upset about this. She really thinks these agencies should not be pointing fingers at each other. Here's a little bit of what she told me.
This money is city money, tax dollars. And, the family showing up to go swimming, they don't care. They don't want to know that it's one department squabbling with another. They just want it fixed.
Right. Well, can somebody in the city pull rank? I mean, what do other city councilors and city officials have to say about this here?
The city says they're moving with urgency. They're trying to get these repairs done as fast as possible. They're hoping to reopen 4 of the 10 closed pools by fall, but you'll notice that by fall does not mean this summer.
We're going to take a break, but we will be right back.
Did you kill Marlene Johnson?
I think you're one of the first people to have actually asked.
From WBUR and ZSP Media, this is Beyond All Repair, a new podcast about an unsolved murder that will leave you questioning everything.
Somebody should be in jail for murdering my sister.
A woman who's never been believed.
As long as they think I have done this, then they're not looking for who actually did this.
And that's what makes it a cold case.
No, it's a botched case.
And a search for the truth, once and for all.
Wow, it just gets more interesting.
Beyond All Repair. Listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Be careful. You're digging in a place that's been very peaceful for a while.
Do it anyway. Dig.
And we're back. Walt, did you talk with any climate advocates in the area about these closures and how it's affecting people in these communities?
I did. So I spoke with the Reverend Vernon K. Walker. He's the program director at Crew, and I think you've had him on the show before.
Yep. He was featured in our climate series. He walked with us through the South End to talk about the heat island effect.
Yeah, so he works for Crew. That stands for Communities Responding to Extreme Weather. And he was explaining the heat island, as you were pointing to, these are neighborhoods with a lot of exposed concrete, not a lot of green space, not a lot of tree canopy, black roofs that absorb and then radiate a lot of that heat. Here's a little bit of how he explained the urban heat island effect.
For instance, if the temperature is 90 degrees on a given day, it could feel anywhere between 115 to 120 in places that suffer from the urban heat island effect, such as Dorchester and Mattapan.
So in these neighborhoods, things like public pools are even more important because they're literally hotter.
Mm-hmm. Well, what can residents do in the meantime?
In the meantime, there are pools that are still open in Roxbury. There's the state-run Melnia Cass Memorial Pool, which is a big, nice outdoor pool. There's the Mason Pool, which is a city-run pool. There's YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs, but those are private, although they do, have some voucher programs, and the city has some partnership agreements with them for free swimming lessons for kids. There's also splash pads in public parks, but as we know, and as WBUR has reported on before, they break sometimes. They're not always completely reliable. And then there's the beaches in South Boston and Dorchester.
Okay. So is it fair to assume that these other pools and facilities and places, that they can kind of absorb whatever influx they might get due to these closures in Mattapan and Dorchester?
They're all very busy, for sure. But I think, people love their neighborhood pool and they like going to the places they're used to. It kind of, it disrupts your routine if you need to walk a couple miles through the heat to get to a pool, or take a bus on a hot day, or a crowded train. People love their local pools, and these are public, taxpayer-supported pools that should be available to them.
So, Walt, I am wondering, given the city's history with neighborhoods like Dorchester and Mattapan, what does this say about how the city serves those neighborhoods, which are predominantly people of color?
Yeah. These are neighborhoods that are affected by, decades of failed public policies, redlining, concentrating industrial zones in low-income communities, not investing in green space or not maintaining a tree canopy. So the fact that all the public pools are closed during the hottest time of year, residents say that it stings. And again, these renovations, these repairs, they're needed. The city says it's going to make the facilities better. going into the future, and people are hopeful about that. But there's a question about how it was all done. So I spoke with Lacey Satcher. She's an assistant professor of sociology and environmental studies at Boston College. She's also a resident of Roxbury. Here's how she sort of framed the issue to me.
The idea that these pools are being, renovated and repaired and renewed is a great thing, but you have to wonder why all at the same time. In one of the hottest summers Boston has seen. I
think her point there is that, this investment is needed. It's necessary. It's probably too late. And the way it's being rolled out could have been done better.
Yeah. Well, Walt, thank you so much for coming through to the Common and helping to shed some light on this. And shout out to Dorchester Reporter. Big up to them. But yeah, Walt, as always, thank you. And you're always welcome. Come on back.
Thanks. I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Don't use that. Don't use that.
That's WBUR General Assignment Reporter Walter Wuthmann. And while I still got you, I want to take a minute to plug our climate series that we did back in April for Earth Week. It's called Climate Now, and we talk about how climate change is impacting the city right now. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. Listen, if you are liking the show, please rate and review us, particularly on Apple or Spotify. That would go a long way in helping the show. And also, tell a friend to tell a friend, So, yeah, thank you so much. Also, if you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on Instagram at WBUR The Common, or send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and I will talk to you tomorrow.